Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be doing another update of Washington Dulles International Airport. And today's update is going to be an evening based update, so we have a lot of the domestic aircraft overnighting here at Dulles, and then we have a bunch of the European international aircraft heading out on their late night flights. But today we're going to start off where we usually do, down here with Concourse B. So starting off we have this Alaska Boeing 737 MAX 8. Alaska don't overnight any aircraft here at Washington Dulles. I believe they don't even overnight any aircraft on the East Coast in general, operating purely Western hubs. There is a chance they may, of course, overnight aircraft at larger airports like JFK or Boston, perhaps, but I'm really not too sure. So this MAX 8 is going to be heading out on Alaska's last daily flights from Washington Dulles to Seattle. Alaska should be getting some 737 MAX 10s soon. Deliveries are expected to start mid-2025 at the earliest, so we're not really too sure when exactly Alaska are going to get their first 737 MAX 10s, but the MAX 10s will end up being the aircraft they have the most of. They have 103 MAX 10s on order as I speak. However, of course, at the moment they only have the MAX 9s and the MAX 8s in service. I still, of course, really want to get an Alaska MAX 9 and a MAX 10 when they're eventually released, just because at the moment, apart from the NGs, this MAX 8 is the only MAX variant I have for Alaska. Next up here, it wouldn't be a Washington Dulles update without this aircraft. We have this American Eagle CRJ-700. This aircraft is going to be overnighting here before heading out to Charlotte, North Carolina in the morning, and like I usually say, this flight is usually operated on the CRJ-900. However, I don't have a 900, so I'm using the 700 instead. Then moving around to Delta here, we have this Delta Embraer E175. This one is going to be overnighting here before heading out to Detroit in Michigan in the morning. We then have another overnighting aircraft. Here we have this Delta Connection Embraer E170. This one is overnighting and then is going to be heading out to Minneapolis in Minnesota in the morning. And last but not least, another overnighting aircraft. We have this Delta Boeing 737-900. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Atlanta in Georgia in the morning. Next up here, again, also overnighting, we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700 heading out to Phoenix in Arizona. Southwest only have two routes out of Dulles now, Phoenix and Denver. And last but not least, almost ready to depart, we have the Sun Country Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Minneapolis in Minnesota. I do find it weird that Sun Country haven't placed any orders for any new aircraft. They are due to get some 737-900s in soon, however they are second hand, but they haven't placed any orders for any 737 Maxes or even A320neos, and I feel like they are probably the only semi-major airline in the US that haven't placed an order for any new aircraft. But next up here, moving on to the international aircraft, here we have this British Airways Airbus A380. This aircraft is going to be heading out to London Heathrow. Following that, we have this Air France Airbus A350-900. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Paris Charles de Gaulle in France. Ready for pushback here, we have this Virgin Atlantic Boeing 787-9. This aircraft is also going to be heading out to London Heathrow. Then next up here in the new color scheme, we have this Royal Air Maroc Boeing 787-9. Royal Air Maroc have just received their last 787-9 into their fleet. They now have a total of 6 787-9s and 5 787-8s. We tend to get more of the Dash 8s into Washington Dulles than the Dash 9s, but we do occasionally get the Dash 9s as well. And it is really, really cool to see Royal Air Maroc here at Washington Dulles, as they don't have a lot of long-haul destinations. They are ramping up their long-haul operations now that they have all of their 787s in service. But as far as North America goes, they fly to Montreal and Toronto in Canada, and then in the US, they fly to Miami, New York JFK, and Washington Dulles. So with that being said, this 787-9 is going to be heading out to Casablanca in Morocco. Then next up here, we have this Etihad Boeing 787-9. Now, I remember when Etihad started flights to Washington Washington Dulles, it's probably got to be about 10 to 12 years ago at this point. They started on board their A340-600s. Of course, they are long gone now, and ever since then they've operated the 787-9, which is of course the aircraft you can see in front of you. So this Etihad 787-9 is going to be heading out to Abu Dhabi. Next, moving around to the Icelandic carriers, here we have this Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9. This aircraft is going to be, of course, heading out to Keflavik in Iceland. And then here we have the Play Airbus A321neo. This aircraft is also going to be heading out to Keflavik in Iceland. Play, of course, just like Icelandair, operate to both Baltimore and Washington Dulles. They typically send the A321neo to Baltimore and the A320neo to Dulles. However, that does change sometimes. So here we have the A321neo for a change. Then next up here we have this Turkish Airlines Boeing 777-300ER on its second daily flight heading out to Istanbul in Turkey. And then last for the terminal here we have this Swiss Airbus A330-300 heading out to Zurich in Switzerland. Swiss were originally going to start to Washington Dulles in 2020. However, because of the pandemic, they were only able to start in 2023. But it is really cool to see Swiss here at Dulles. Then next up here, just taxiing out, we have this Lufthansa Airbus A380 heading out to Munich in Germany. Then over here at the cargo stands, we have this FedEx Boeing 767-300 heading out to Memphis in Tennessee. We then have this UPS MD-11 heading out to Louisville in Kentucky. And last but not least, finishing off here on the runway, we have a brand new international carrier into Washington Dulles. This is the Royal Jordanian Boeing 787-8. Royal Jordanian started a couple months ago into Dulles now, and it is really cool to see them here. Dulles isn't a huge airport passenger numbers wise, but because of course it's the airport that serves the US capital, we still get a lot of these really cool international carriers into the airports. Similar to Royal Air Maroc that we were just talking about, Royal Jordanian don't serve that many destinations in the US, so to have them serve Washington Dulles is really unique. Outside of Dulles, they only serve 3 destinations in the US, that being New York JFK, Chicago O'Hare, which are 2 destinations that you would probably suspect, but then their third one is quite weird, Detroit. I'm not really too sure why Royal Jordanian, out of all of the destinations they could have chose Detroit, but there we go. They'll start the service on board their 787-8. They have 7 of these in their fleet, but then they also have an order of 6 787-9, so when they get them into their fleet, maybe Dulles will be upgraded to the -9. But I'd imagine that Dulles would stay on the -8, and then New York and Chicago would probably be more likely to get the -9 in the future. So with that all being said, this Royal Jordanian Boeing 787-8 is going to be heading out to Amman in Jordan. And Amman is a destination we have had before at Washington Dulles on United, similar to the Tel Aviv route on United as well. Both Amman and Tel Aviv were suspended when the Israeli conflict started probably over a year ago now. And it is interesting, in the midst of United not serving these destinations anymore, that airlines like Royal Jordanian have essentially stepped in United's place to operate this route. So it does make you think that maybe El Al will start operating the Tel Aviv to Dulles route on maybe the 787-9 or their -8. I know that El Al were looking a couple years ago to start at Washington Dulles but never did, so maybe that is another airline we could see start here at Dulles in the future. But apart from that, that does conclude today's update of Washington Dulles International Airport. I hope you guys enjoyed, and with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.